hazard and has been determined to have health issues within. So that's a question of mine to planning or the board as to whether or not that might be a part of the abatement.
Fair enough.
My comment, well, there's two schools of thought. We have been going through an abatement process to correct a nuisance, and I think Mr. Stewart's comments are well taken. That the structure itself has numerous issues, and we've identified those. And so, the board needs to consider the idea that now that we've cleaned up the outside, maybe the private sector would take care of the actual structure, because now there's some value to the property versus the county actually doing the entire abatement, not only of the junk but now of the remaining house. And so we'll be back in front of the board. We're going to give some analysis of what it looks like now, what the appraisal might be, what the cost benefit is, and we're not going to just simply go without any direction from the board on that, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would just mention that although we're not trying to be stingy with abatement money, we do have a fixed amount of money budgeted annually. And what we've done so far roughly represents about a third of what we budgeted countywide for abatements.
Okay, what did we budget?
$100,000.
Was it 100? Okay.
Which is a significant increase over prior years.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Okay, if there's no other questions of the presentation, we're going to move on to the next thing. Would be
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
My name's Rick Stewart. I'm the other Stewart of the neighborhood.
We are not related.
We're not related. I don't abut his property, thank goodness, but I would like to make an observation. You may have budgeted $90,000 for this year. This abatement actually started, or the process started in 2006. So, if you're to break that down, we really haven't had that many bites at this apple. And I, for one, have been to that residence, and it is disgusting. And I think it still presents health hazards. So that's my commentary. But my question for staff, I just want to make sure that you're aware more. It was just brought to my attention that I think you referred to the well. Is it the deep hole that's by the pine tree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was 12 to 15 feet deep. It was filled annually as an illegal livestock watering hole. And when Mr. Rosengren had that independent contractor come out a few years ago with tractors moving stuff around, he filled that hole with garbage. So I'm sure that as your guys have been going down, they're finding it just keeps going down and down and down and down. That was just brought to my attention. So I just wanted to find out if you were aware of that, because we'd like to have that excavated.
Yeah, that's part of what's being proposed.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So is there any members of the audience that want to speak in opposition to the proposed action? Anybody that wants to speak in favor of the proposed abatement?
I, for one, am certainly in favor of it and appreciate very much what's taking place today.
I, for two, would really like to compliment staff on what they've been able to accomplish once we got the ball rolling. County code enforcement, I lost a good friend who was the county code enforcement officer for this county for a long time over this very issue, because it just never went anywhere. And nobody should be subjected to that in their neighborhood. And I know what you guys have got coming here in about an hour, and I might point out that if any of you have been down Cummins Road and you see what's going on out there with private industry, and Ann and I had an occasion this weekend to ride our bikes by, and there was about an 11-year-old boy sitting on the front porch next door to that mess. And, society owes that family more than they owe the guys next door with all the fractured wood and visqueen that's covering their cash crop. And I'm sorry, that's how I felt living next door to Rosengren's property, and I think that it was wrong for us as a community to turn a blind eye to other areas in this community. I think that these abatement programs are important, and It's an example of what the county can do right to help the citizens that pay their taxes and try to do the right thing. So thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, I would just add, and I saw the presentation on signage, and clearly no one at one point would have wanted to point a sign to the northwest corner of Church Street and 395. And I do visualize, and it's funny perhaps, but I do see that as a gateway to our community and our area, and it has just been despicable. Sloss Creek comes down through that property and mine. When we're fortunate enough to have rains and the creek runs, it is not unusual for me to have oil filters or any number of things show up on my property down on the low side. So again, I express my appreciation to the board and to the planning and everyone that's been in support of this, from Lloyd Kiefer to Chairman Wassick. I know you were there at my request once and expressed being appalled at that time. And that's, as Mr. Stewart says, all of this has been going on for quite some period of time. So my appreciation and thanks.
Yeah, and just for information, for what it's worth, I actually did make an appointment with a gentleman that lived there because he was phoning me. I went out and he was, I don't know, I saw cars there, but nobody ever came to the door. I hung around for a few minutes, and yeah, it was a bad deal. So I'm happy to drive by there and see it, cleaned up at least. I'm happy to be going forward, bringing closure to it. That's what you guys do. It's unfortunate that you had to suffer through it for so long, but one of those things, at least we're in time. So
I agree. Thank you.
with that, if there's no more from the public, to close the public hearing at 12:38 and bring it back for action.
I'd like to make one comment that this process has been going on for a long time, because I remember I was serving back on the planning commission when this issue came up. Maybe you will too, I don't remember, but this has been going on a long time. I don't know if there's some way we could speed some of this stuff up for the neighborhoods and whatnot. I don't know, but we got a bad issue, we need to take care of it, and some ways move forward on this.
I have a procedural question, and this would be to you, council, to Mr. Egan. The amount requested by staff is $17,769.03, which is the present amount in that form. We've heard testimony that there's already another $5,000 that's been spent. They're looking at another $9,000 within a very short order. Obviously, I wouldn't hold up filing the $17,769, but could our action today be able to give direction to staff to not only file this, but when those others are done, file subsequent, or does it have to come back and go through a public hearing process?
And I can't have a public hearing process. It has to come back. Each amount will need to come back.
Okay, good. I was going to try to expedite that by
And we
saying
appreciate
the action
that.
that we take today, if I've got full confidence in staff, I mean, that $32,000 is still $32,000. And the sooner we get those liens filed, the better. And I hate to see the bureaucratic political process slow that down. I mean, obviously we can get this one done hopefully as early as today, but it'd be nice to get those others added in a timely fashion. We don't have to wait 8 years like we started this process in 2006, as Mr. Curry was pointed out.
Mr. Chairman, I did 2 comments to answer Mr. Alba. We're working with the brand new staff, and we've really kind of redone the wheel. And we're really thinking that we're going to move faster on these things in the future. County Counsel's office has been instrumental in helping us understand our deficiencies and where our strengths were. We're moving in different directions. We're doing different things with different abatements. I'm really excited about what's happening with the cooperation from that office. And so I look to the future as being a faster process. And that was the first question out of my mouth, Mr. Chapman, as well. Can we just kind of preemptively do this stuff? But before I sit down, I didn't thank Public Works, specifically Peter. It's just, Pete's just been to the wall on this thing, getting it done. He's just been the man. He got it done as well as anybody. So.
What's our resolution?
Should be 067.
067?
14-067.
I'll move the House Resolution 14-067.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you poll the vote?
Supervisor Chapman?
Aye.
Supervisor Alba?
Aye.
Supervisor Kyle?
Aye.
Supervisor Hammond?
Aye.
Supervisor Wilson?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And thank you, guys.
Sorry.
Okay, we have another item, information.
I'll be as quick as I can, Mr. Chairman. I attended the CAO Association meeting last week in Monterey. Came back with some interesting ideas I'll share with the board as we go on, one of which is kind of an old idea with renewed interest because of the current interest rate strategy. We discussed, real briefly, discussed years ago securitizing the tobacco settlement funds for the purpose of requiring capital now to do things. And interest rates are very favorable for doing that, so I want to explore that a little bit in the future. Another quick idea, there was a presenter there that I have his contact information I'll be contacting very quickly regarding both solar projects for generating electricity for county facilities as well as just general electrical efficiency items. And sometimes there's a capital outlay that has a 2 or 3 year return, and then you really start saving money. I want to explore that. It's dependent a lot on electric rates and a whole bunch of different factors, but something definitely worthy of exploring and something I want to explore.
They're going up.
Yeah, and we had a lot of discussion up naturally about marijuana and their very interesting perspectives from Mendocino, Humboldt, and Trinity counties about, they're actually have some concern about economic shifts from their areas to other areas of counties when it becomes legalized. It's really interesting discussion.
Losing their underground cash route.
Yeah, really.
The golden triangle.
Yeah. That's it about that meeting. Also, yesterday, Planning and Building Services Director Maureen Anderson and County Council Burns and I traveled to the northeast corner of the county to meet with the Stills regarding their application for groundwater exportation. Had a very good visit with them, got to see on site exactly what they're doing out there, and we'll be bringing that forward through Mr. Anderson very shortly. We also stopped by the Valentas in Bravendale area and visited the wolf, High Desert Wolves rescue and breeding facility out there, and to get a first-hand look at all that. So that's all I have to report.
Is there anything on the, last week, the meeting with you and Supervisor Chapman and Supervisor Hammond?
That's this week.
Thursday at 2 o'clock.
Thursday. Thank you.
One other thing, our staff met with City Administrator Hancock yesterday at the pool site to discuss the configuration as the board approved some weeks ago, and there will be more to come on that. The surveyor was not there, is that correct? There wasn't a surveyor down there, but they looked at the property and made sure that everything was okay. In fact, our sheriff and Mel, who are the affected departments, favor a concept whereby we transfer the entire property after a few years when we no longer need it. So something to consider. Wasn't contemplated in the board's action, but that was something that when they were on site they discussed, and Supervisor Chapman suggested in the past.
Thank you. We have a couple options. We have to finish closed session. We could adjourn the regular meeting, have a 5-minute recess, and probably take about 10 minutes or so to do that. Or we could recess and reconvene at 1:30, take up the rest of our agenda, and then finish closed session at the end of that time. What's the pleasure?
Mr. Hammond and I have solid waste board at 3 o'clock, so it has to be done prior to 3 o'clock.
I would think that we should take up the rest of the closed session quickly, and that way we could adjourn the regular.
Okay, let's just move into closed session.